Hello everyone, it is April and I have a little confession to make. I never thought that I would ever get an e-reader, and then sometime in November I got a hankering. And just a feeling that I would love it. And so I did a lot of research and I ended up getting, as you guys know, a Kobo Libra 2. Here it is here. And it turns out that I really like it. Now, am I a traitor to my library filled with beautiful paperbacks and hardcover books? Maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I can't help myself. I really enjoy reading with an e-reader. Now, I originally got this thing because I wanted to read series on it. I would get them out from my library in my mind. I would read big books on this, and I had a whole plan of only using it via the library. So I really did not expect myself to start buying books from Kobo, from Indigo, via my Kobo. And here I am doing that very thing. So today I thought I would share with you the books that I have been purchasing off of my Kobo. I will say that I usually peruse the daily deal section and buy books that are absolutely under $5. Like, I have never bought an ebook over $5 yet, although now at this point I feel like I can never say never. The book that started it all for me was In the Woods by Tana French. I needed to read that book for my Patreon group, which is no longer, sadly. But we read In the Woods for March. It's the start of a whole series, the Double Murder Squad series, and you can bet your butt that I am going to continue on with that series. It follows two detectives who find a young girl killed in the woods, and it happens to be the very same woods that one of our detectives went into as a child with two of his friends. Those two friends went missing, never seen again, and he came out, the only friend, unscathed. So it really focuses on two mysteries. I really enjoyed In the Woods. I really liked reading it on my Kobo, that is for sure. It's just a little easier to get through when they're bigger, and Tana French writes really big mysteries. They're like 600, 700 pages each. Not that I'm complaining, because her writing is chef's kiss, so good. All right, let's read the first line of In the Woods. Picture a summer stolen whole from some coming-of-age film set in a small town, 1950s. I really enjoy that. I will say the prologue of In the Woods was so atmospheric. I absolutely loved it. Next up is The Light of Days by Judy Battalion. This is a nonfiction book that follows a group of Jewish women who, at the rise of the Nazi regime within Germany, created resistance fighters within the Jewish culture, within the Jewish community in Germany. And they've really not been mentioned a lot in history. And in this book, we follow some of these women and what they went through and how they rose up against the Nazis. And this is apparently being optioned for a film by Steven Spielberg. So I was so excited to find this on a daily deal. I think I got it for like $3. I was very excited. All right, let's read the first line of The Light of Days. Introduction, battle axes. The British Library reading room smelled like old pages. I love the idea of that. But not a 5-star first line. Next is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I've got quite a lot of horror on this list, I will say. So this book follows a family who are experiencing some very creepy things. As a child, we meet Nate, who had a very abusive father. He lived on a family farm. And while he was living there, something very traumatic happened to him, and he never told anyone about it, including his current family. We also follow Maddie, who as a child lived in that same little town as Nate, and she saw something that she should never have seen while she was making dolls or playing with her dolls. Now, Nate and Maddie, I believe, had escaped their hometown until they had their son Oliver, and something has brought them back to their hometown. They want to raise Oliver in that hometown, and now, unfortunately, their past is catching up with them. The same traumatic things that happened in the past are now happening again, but it's not happening to them, it's happening to Oliver. And it sounds really creepy and really good. Okay, let's read the first line of the Book of Accidents. Edmund Walker Reese was a man of numbers. Okay, really kind of disappointing. So now before we move on to the next 6 books I need to share with you, I did want to tell you that this video is being sponsored by Skillshare. I think I've mentioned to you several times through the year that I'm working with Skillshare this year, which is really wonderful. I really enjoy their classes. So if you don't know, Skillshare is an online platform where they are teaching people all sorts of things. There are classes, hundreds of classes on there about graphic design and photography and interior design, which I am very drawn to. I just finished taking a class called Interior Bedroom Design for Better Sleep by Anna Marku. And it really is about creating a bedroom, that's why I'm filming here, that will optimize your sleep. So for example, we all know that blue lights are terrible for your sleep. If you are on your phone right before bed, you might have a harder time falling asleep just because it screws around with your melatonin and all sorts of things. There's a lot of science behind that, and Anna does go into a little bit about that. I think that's one of the reasons that I do really enjoy reading from my Kobo before bed. She definitely has a section in this course about light, but she also has a section about noise and air quality and fragrance and all of these things that you might not think about in association to better sleep. So if you wanted to take that class or any of the hundreds of other classes they offer on Skillshare, the first 1,000 people who click on the link in the description box below or use my code Getting Hygge with it are going to get the first month of Skillshare for free. They're going to get a free trial, which is a really great way to try it out. Okay, so shall we get back to the other books that I have purchased for my Kobo? One thing I was very pleased to find is that you can get a whole collection of an author's works, especially the classic authors. So I have the complete works of the Bronte sisters. I've sadly only read Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. I didn't really like Wuthering Heights, if I'm being honest, but I would absolutely love to read all of the other books. I'd love to read Villette and Shirley and Agnes Grey and The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I have so many books by them that I would just adore reading. So I now have the complete works in my hands right here. I think it was less than $3 to get that, which is really wonderful. They also have Jane Austen and Charles Dickens and all sorts of people. And I have to do a deep dive because I might have a few more authors that I want to read from. Now, Stephanie from Books in the Freezer has spoken about this next book quite a lot, and I can't believe that I haven't bought it or picked it up until now, but I saw it and I just had to. So this is The Last Day of Jack Sparks by Jason Arnoff. It is a horror, but it's also meant to be a little bit funny at times. So this follows Jack Sparks, who in fact died while writing this book, which is such a fun way to start a book. And Jack Sparks is meant to be a journalist who researched the occult. In his last days, a video appeared on his own YouTube channel, which had like 40 seconds of absolute horror. Now, he himself said that he did not upload that video. He doesn't know how it got onto his YouTube channel, but subsequently he dies like days after that happens. And so this book follows what happened to him in those fateful, terrifying days. All right, let's read the first line of The Last Days of Jack Sparks. I have high hopes for this. We'll see. Okay, so here's the foreword by Alistair Sparks. At the center of the house in which my late brother Jacob and I grew up, there was a black hole. Okay, that's a 5-star first line. That sounds amazing. Next is the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. Now, I got this one because of one of my subscribers, and I would like to say she was one of my friends. Kim was a wonderful, wonderful person. She was also on my Patreon, and she has passed away. And I'm going to not talk about it too much because I will cry. I would like to sit and ponder how I want to honor Kim's memory, who I adored. She was wonderful. So I'm going to think on that. All that said, I would like to read some of her favorites. And one of her favorites was the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, and she highly recommended it to me. So Simone St. James writes wonderfully gothic kind of ghost stories that are just so much fun and riveting and page turners. And this follows two people. One in the 1980s, we follow Viv, who has taken a job at the Sundown Motel just to get some extra cash, and eerie things start happening to her while she is working there. And then we flash forwards to 2017, I believe, where we meet a woman named Carly Kirk, who has always wondered about what happened to her Aunt Viv, who disappeared before she was even born. So she actually moves to, I think, Fellside, or Fell is the area where the Sundown Motel is. And she goes to the Sundown Motel, and then the same eerie, creepy things happen to her while she's there. All right, it's time to read the first line of the Sundown Motel. The night it all ended, Vivian was alone. I like that as a first line, but I don't think it's a 5-star. Next up is a horror book that I think has gone under the radar for quite some time, but sounds really tense, like probably one of the most tense horror synopses that I've personally heard of. And that is We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III. This follows a family in a very short period of time. They've barricaded themselves in the bathroom during a tornado warning. Now, I believe they end up being kind of stuck in the bathroom and have to make some pretty drastic decisions. And it's the tension within this family that is very over the top, apparently. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's a bit of a novella. It's not a long one, so that sounds good to me. It is time to read the first line of We Need to Do Something. Our phones won't stop screaming, each slightly out of sync with the other, making the noises jarring and insane. I love that line. That's a 5-star. Come With Me is next by Ronald Malfi. This is another ghost story. So this book follows a grieving husband. Aaron has recently lost his wife. His wife has been killed, and because it's such a sudden death, he is haunted by her death, and he is also apparently haunted by her spirit. And he starts going through her belongings, and he finds a receipt to a motel like quite far away, and he decides to try to find out what was happening in her life leading up to her death. What he discovers, unfortunately, are an insane amount of very dark secrets. And as each secret is revealed, he needs to know more. He becomes kind of obsessed with knowing more, which I can kind of understand. And he will even put his own life at risk to learn the truth about his wife. All right, let's read the first line of Come With Me. Every marriage has its secrets. Not a 5-star first line. And last but certainly not least is Magpie Lane by Lucy Atkins. I have been wanting to get this book for ages. This book starts with the death of an 8-year-old child. She is the child of an Oxford University professor, and the police begin to investigate, and one of the first people that they sit down with is the nanny. This essentially follows this interview that they have with Dee, and she starts looking back over the time that she was taking care of this little girl who has now passed away. And the setting is an eerie and ancient house, which always sucks me in. Like, start with a creepy house and I'm like, yes, I will read that immediately. We follow a quite dysfunctional family, a father named Nick, his pregnant wife, and then this little girl. And this little girl is named Felicity. She is almost mute. She is very much grieving her mother who passed away, and she sees ghosts. Apparently this book has secret passages and like hidden graveyards and just all of the things that I need in my life. All right, let's read the first line of Magpie Lane. They're waiting for an answer. Not a 5-star first line. So those are all of the books that I have picked up as of late on my Kobo. Let me know in the comments below, are you e-readers? Like, do you read ebooks, or are you strictly paperback, hardcover, print copies? I'd love to know. I'm a mix of both now. I never thought I would say that, but here I am. I am a mix of both. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Again, if you've read any of these, I'd love to know what you thought of them. Lots of creepy books on that little device, but I cannot wait. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk with you very soon. Bye.